Alright, welcome to this week's edition of Attack the Track. We are in the next gen here at Pocono, and we are back in the Under Armour Chevy Camaro. Paint is done by Bussler, and his information will be in description if you want something that will look as good as this out on track. So, having gone over that, let's look at the track information. It is 77 degree ambient temp, 119 degree track temp. Pretty standard for noontime if you set that up, and that's what the race is going to be this Thursday. So it's pretty hot, and 30% track usage, which should match up fairly well with after practice. So this week is going to be a lot more about battling and picking when to pass or when to try to pass and when not to. But we will go over qualifying first, and then I'll talk about the battling and stuff like that. It is going to be a second lap qualifying, so we'll go out, and I will be shifting. I'll show you that as well. You can run just as fast not shifting, but I personally find it a little bit easier to drive with the shift, and so it's the same line, so don't think it would be a different line if you don't want to shift. It'll be the exact same line, but I will be shifting here. So really, we're just coming up to speed. This isn't going to matter because it's going to be a second lap, and the reason it's going to be a second lap, we'll just go ahead and show you. I'm going to go ahead and go wide out of turn 3, but if you do it correctly, coming out after your first lap, going to your second, you should gain 1 mile an hour more for your fast lap. So again, I'll be shifting this lap, but this lap is not, or hopefully is not going to be our fast lap, but you never know. Got a little tight there, and part of that's because the tire's not coming up to temps yet, and that's another reason that I feel like the second lap is going to be faster. Alright, so here we go for the actual fast lap here.
54.64. .162.
Alright, felt pretty good. Let's go take a look, see what we did. Alright, so first off, let's look and see what our times were here coming to the line. So we were at 176 coming to the line here, 175. So I even lost some time, and I think part of that is actually I was a little too close in. No, that actually looked good. So I lost a little bit of time somewhere coming to the line. Wait, or actually, that's 176 right there. Yeah, I definitely lost time there. So that's something you can work on and get even more. But anyway, so when we are coming to uh, turn 1 here, you're going to go a little bit past the cone. Uh, I don't really have a solid marker here to look at. What I'm looking at is the green light, but I don't have a specific like thing on the wall or like a line here where it's like, okay, when I'm passing that, I'm doing it. It's just kind of a feel thing. So you just got to feel it out. But the idea is to swing a little bit wider so that uh, you can get on the gas sooner, because you're not having to defend low, and you're going to get a much better runoff down the entire backstretch. If you enter super low here, what's going to end up happening, these turns are a lot longer than you think, and so you're going to run low, and then you're going to have to wait to get on the gas because you're just going to get super tight on the way out. So you want to swing it wide and then kind of come back and attack it, if that makes sense. So I'm going past here. Let's see, a couple car lengths. Actually, let's go here. So yeah, so there's the cone. So what, 1, 2, 3 posts after the cone is where I'm starting to break. Now I'm not looking at that, but that happens to be where it is if you want to go and judge it for yourself, uh, where you're doing that. Oh, wrong one. And then getting on the brakes decently hard, and so it looks like 50% roughly. And I am downshifting pretty early here because I'm wanting to use some engine braking to help slow down as well. But really, I'm just wanting to shift before I get to the downhill transition here. So like you can see right as I'm coming past the light, like going out of view on my center screen, is kind of right when you're hitting that downhill transition, and that's when you're wanting to downshift if you're doing the shifting. Again, you can not shift, and it's going to be pretty even time. I'm just more consistent at shifting. So as you come down, again, don't be concerned with getting to the bottom super early. That is going to slow you down. There are some bumps out here, but you should be going below them unless you just completely overshot the corner and you're qualifying screwed anyway. But the bumps don't push you out the way that they do in other track, or in other cars rather, and so they're not as bad, but you do have to be careful to not overshoot the corner. And I've found that the engine braking kind of helps set me up for this. So it's kind of a slow entry here, and what you're really looking for is this white patch here. That's kind of where you're going to be judging the entire run of where you want your car to be and what to do. And so, see, I go directly over it, and at the same time, that's when I know to get back on the gas. If you hit it right, you can go back to full throttle as you're going over this, and you're going to make the corner. Uh, I wouldn't have minded being a little bit lower. You don't want to be higher, but at the same time, you don't want to be all the way to the bottom when you're here, because that's you entering too early. And as you can see, I get tight and I almost hit the wall, even as is. But so we'll play through this corner here again in cockpit, and then I'll go out to far chase as well. Okay. So the white patches, this is going to be for turns 1 and 3. Those are going to be your markers, but I'm running over this patch and I'm going full throttle with it. Then you can kind of see later you're going to be judging on this, but you want to be on the inside of this. If you're rolling over this, you're going to be a little high, and you know at that point you need to go ahead and lift, or you're going to be too tight. And then you can be on the outside of this one, but you kind of want to be close to this. So judging by how this is going to be your best marker, judging by how far outside of this you are, if you're going to hit this or not, if you're going to hit the wall. So I'm on the outside of it, but if you know or realize that it's down here, or you're just skating out, you're definitely going to hit the wall. So let's go back. And just look at this turn through far chase here. And that is about as close as you can cut it. Whew. All right. So I don't know exactly the best RPM to shift at. So I think I shifted around, yeah, around 9,500 is when I shift, which if you're behind a car, it's going to be earlier than that. In the backstretch. I mean, you're still going to shift at 9,500, or I am, but it's going to be much earlier in the lap is what I mean. But coming up to this for qualifying, your line is going to be this Pocono sign. So that's when I start to brake and start to turn. For the run, for the long run, I'm going to be starting to brake here at the green light, but I'm still going to keep my turn in at Pocono. Now this is modeled after Indy, so if you know how to run Indy real well, you can run that. I'm not great at Indy, but there's a thing where this little kink that's right here, can you see that? So it kind of goes, and then there's a kink, and then it kind of straightens out. It reminds me a lot of Atlanta, turn 1. There's a similar kink as well, or I guess it's the exit of 2, but you want to be looking for that kink. See, here's a white patch as well, but you want to be between the white patch and the kink. You really want your lefts to be on this kink and the car pointed as straight as can be. You want to follow that straight line right out there as best you can. The one problem that I have in getting this is getting this timing down. If you turn too early, you're going to get there before the kink, and if you do, you're going to have to lift, or you're going to get tight and you're going to hit the wall. So if you get early, just know, hey, I missed it, you know, and lift and go about your business. If you go on the outside of it, you miss it, you might not have to lift. You're just losing time at that point, but it's almost not as bad as getting there too early. But I have a problem of not turning sharp enough. For some reason, visually, this turn, I think, oh, I've still got plenty of time to turn and make the turn, and I'm not turning sharp enough when I should be turning sharp. I hit it pretty well right here, and you'll notice I get on the brakes pretty decently. I usually am more of a trail breaker, but I'm needing to slow down a good bit, and stabbing the brake is making the car turn a little bit to the left here. So doing that, I end up hitting it pretty well. Now if you get on the black part here, it's going to make the car a little bit loose. It's not going to spin you or anything like that. Just be aware. As long as you anticipate it, you'll be fine. And a lot of guys will hit that later in the run to help loosen themselves up, but I don't. But I'm just trying to get down here and judge it. With turn 2, it's very momentum based. The earlier you can get on the throttle coming into, the better. A lot of guys will kind of hold on, and then they won't be full throttle until here, and it's really going to kill your momentum. Yes, this is the shortest straightaway coming out of this, but I've noticed coming out of turn 1, like, you'll lose time on entry in 1, but on exit, like, you'll lose a little bit of time. Like, it's a slow progression of time that you're losing all the way down the backstretch. 2, if someone makes 2 and you miss 2, it's very apparent. There's a tenth or 2/10 that's caught up on this very short backstretch. So make sure you hit 2. It's very, very important, very hard to do. Just come out again, and then so we'll look at that from far chase. There, I'm hitting the kink right there. I was a little high. Come down to it, you hit the white patch that I wasn't even really that concerned with on exit. But that sets you coming up into 3. Now 3, I don't change between qualifying and the long run. The only difference between qualifying and long run is the tires are better. I can get on the gas sooner. But as far as everything else, I'm hitting everything exactly the same between long run and qualifying. So I'm going to be going to the cone here. You can push it a little bit past it. I may have on this run. Yep. So I pushed it a little, probably a car length past it here. And I go straight for just a little bit. See this little bitty white patch here? Like just a little bit right here. Not this big one. there's a little one right here. I'm kind of trying to get my rights on it, but at the same time, I'm looking down here. So my rights go over on this patch, and at the same time, I'm looking for this patch here. You want to be downshifted before you get to this patch, and you either want to be here or a little bit to the inside. You don't want to be too far to the inside, especially if you don't shift, because if you're not shifting, you're going to be tighter throughout the corner. You're going to be carrying more momentum, and you're going to go straighter. That's one of the reasons I shift here, is it helps me turn the car, especially on exit here, because you are on throttle for so much time on exit, or throughout middle and exit of this corner, and being in fourth gear helps you rotate the car a little bit more with the gas pedal. And so I find it much easier to drive by downshifting fourth. But you want to be down into fourth before you get to this. You can do it right at it, you can do it before, and that's going to be for the entire run. And then you want to be close to here. There's another white patch that's here, and the reason that this one's important throughout the entire run is you want to be full throttle before you get to this white patch. Even on the last lap, you can still be full throttle. You just won't be able to throttle up as early. And so you see I'm already back on the throttle here. Late in a run, I won't be able to full throttle until I'm at that patch, but you don't ever want to go past that patch. Having said that, there will be a couple of times throughout the run, maybe 2 or 3, and this will happen in every turn actually, but there's going to be 2 to 3 times per run you're just going to get tight out of nowhere. You're going to run the exact same line, you're going to get tight, and you've got to realize it and lift and make that turn without hitting the wall. And if you can do that, I think you're going to finish in the top 10. If you can keep the right side of the car clean, I think it's a top 10, because people are going to get tight. They're going to hit the wall, and just that little bit of damage with these back stretches, as long as they are, I think that's really going to come into play. So run the same line, but realize it's not going to act the same every time. And if you can realize, oh, it's a little bit tight, I missed it, ease up that lap, then you're going to be good. But again, it's just a feel thing for when I get back on the gas. So it's like I want to be downshifted here, positioning over this line, coming down, and then as soon as you think you can get back on the gas, but you know for a fact you need to be on it before there. There's another one right here that I'm not really looking for it specifically, but it is a good marker just to know like how far out you're coming, right? So it's like if you're trying to stay on the line here and you're starting to drift out, this gives you a good indication of exactly how far out you actually are drifting. Let's look at that turn one more time through far chase. So here's that little white patch that I'm trying to go out to it and then turn. If you're defending during the long run, you're gonna turn a little bit earlier, and that's fine. Because I definitely think you do want to defend the inside early here, as long as you don't have a train on the outside that you're going to end up getting on the inside and can't get back out. But for speed, if nobody's behind you, you do want to do the exact same thing you did to one. You want to kind of track out and then come around and attack it a little bit better. And then I stop before I get there, but again, I would go up to 9,500 and then shift and then do the exact same thing going into one. So that is the line for qualifying and for long run. Long run, I don't really back up one that much. I will a little bit, but when I say a little bit, it's a gradual thing, and at the very end of the run, I'm maybe a car length in front of the last cone before or when I'm braking. So I'll go out this time and mimic a last lap of a run, and then we'll come in and pit with it. I think it's going to be a lot more about battling and making passes quickly because the more you battle, just the slower you're going to be. Now, I did 2 long runs. I did 1 long run shifting and 1 long run not shifting. The times were within the margin of error and were damn near identical. And so I don't think you're gaining a big advantage either way as far as overall time. Having said that, my tires, my right front specifically, was 10% worse by shifting. It was down to like 55% at the end of a run, and my right front was at about 65 by not shifting. But by shifting, my very first laps were anywhere from 0.2 to 0.4 seconds faster than by not shifting. So here's like late in the run. I'm still not coming down to the bottom super early. We'll do 1 more lap and I'll show like defending, because going into 1, you want to defend low if possible. Now you can defend on the outside. I tested that, and you are able to do it, but I think it's just a lot easier to defend going low. But realize also that if a car is going higher in 1, they're setting you up for a long run to try to get to your inside on 2. I think 2 is going to be the tricky spot. Historically speaking, you want to be on the inside, but last year in the Gen 6 cars, 2 was actually faster to go on the outside. So not exactly sure how it's going to go, because all the testing I've done has been on, you know, solo runs. Really wish they would get the AI worked out. But anyway, back to the tire wear and the times. The times are equivalent, but shifting early does get you a little bit of an advantage. And so you may want, if you're worried about the tire wear, you may want to shift early for the first 5-10 laps. Maybe see if you can gain a spot or 2, and then go not shifting. But I think being patient and not forcing an issue is going to be key, because the track is so technical that people are going to make mistakes, right? You're not going to run every lap perfectly the way you are some other tracks that are pretty easy. And so I don't look to force any issues. Just wait. If you hit the turn well and they hit the turn well and you don't pass them, well, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Because there's going to be a time pretty soon in the next couple laps, I would imagine, that you're going to hit the perfect turn and they're not, and it's going to be easy to pass them at that point. So as long as they're not completely holding you up with momentum or anything like that, I think being patience is key. Yeah, just capitalizing on others' mistakes and not making any yourself. So that is how I plan to attack the track here at Pocono. Hope you did the same, and good luck.